Right now, we're getting the Nielsen streaming numbers in for the period of time covering the final episode of Daredevil Born Again, and things are not looking good for the Disney Plus Marvel show. Daredevil Born Again is a major flop. All episodes failed to chart on Nielsen ratings, in historic first for MCU. Now, this is coming from that Park Place, and just think about that for a second. Now, you got Agatha All Along, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Echo, all these Disney Plus Marvel shows, and at some point they were able to chart on Nielsen's top 10 streaming for the period of time in which it came out. But we never got that at all for Daredevil Born Again, which to some extent suggests that it performed worse than those other ones. Now there's other factors in play here as to why this one failed to chart and those ones did. But still, it's not good news, all things considered. According to the latest Daredevil Born Again Nielsen data, Marvel's latest Disney Plus series is a major flop, failing to appear on Nielsen's weekly streaming chart for a single episode. This marks the first time in Marvel Cinematic Universe history that an original Disney Plus series has not charted even once during its run. Nielsen released streaming ratings for the week of April 14th through the 20th, 2025, which included the release of Daredevil Born Again's 9th and final episode, Straight to Hell. That episode, like the 8 before it, failed to break into Nielsen's top 10 original streaming shows. The cutoff to make the chart that week was 385 million minutes, achieved by Paramount Plus's Mobland, a series with fewer available episodes than Daredevil Born Again. Not to mention, if you also look at the subscriber base for Paramount Plus, I believe right now it's around 75 million subscribers globally. Meanwhile, Disney Plus is sitting around 125 million subscribers globally, give or take. So Disney Plus has a lot more potential people to watch their shows, and with Daredevil Born Again, since it's their new series, they're heavily promoting it on the front page of Disney Plus and all that other stuff. But still, it failed to chart. Meanwhile, a Paramount Plus series actually outperformed it, which is saying something about people who are more interested in watching Mobland versus Daredevil Born Again. The data confirms not only did the finale fall below the chart threshold, but the entire season did as well. It's a stark contrast to previous Marvel series, even underperformers like She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Agatha All Along, and Secret Invasion, all of which charted during their respective debuts. Now, I am going to defend Daredevil Born Again for a moment when it comes to this, though, because one of the things with at least some of those other shows is that they were released at a time where there really wasn't a whole lot of other competition out there, because that's something you also need to take into consideration when it comes to this. It fails to chart now, but I mean, if you look at the Nielsen charts right here, you can see that there's a little bit more competition when it comes to this, so to speak, or you have to take that into consideration. Not to mention some of those other Disney Plus Marvel shows, like Echo, for instance. Every episode of that was dropped all at once, and you can see Nielsen tracks this by the amount of minutes viewed. So if you have all your episodes dropped all at once, then you're going to get a spike of people watching it just then. And so it's probably going to hit the charts and then immediately fall off. And that's about it. Daredevil Born Again, since it was the weekly release model, then you didn't really get that benefit of people just watching it all of a sudden. It was pretty much people watching it over a period of time. So you're never going to get like huge viewership numbers all at once in order to make the charts right here. But one thing that I think is important to point out when it comes to this, though, is they're talking about the period of time that's covering the final episode of Daredevil Born Again. What you usually see, or what you can see when it comes to shows that are released weekly like this, is that people are going to hold off on watching it because they want to watch it all at once or they want to binge it. So they're going to wait until every episode is out and then they're going to watch it all at once. So you should see a spike of viewership during the period of time covering the finale, but we never got that with Daredevil Born Again, which suggests the people who may have otherwise waited for it to come out decided at some point they're not interested in watching it, and that's likely due to audience reactions to the show. While Marvel has not and likely won't release official streaming numbers, the Nielsen ratings speak volumes. The organization tracks all Disney Plus accounts in the US through opt-in data, and it's considered the industry standard for measuring performance across streaming platforms. At the same time, Disney-owned Samba TV has not released any household metrics for the show, a move that suggests internal expectations were not met. Now, just to point this out, because I know some people think about this when it comes to this, this isn't to say that this is how many people actually watch it, because I know a lot of people just like will take the Nielsen numbers, be like, okay, it's so many minutes. How many minutes are in the show to this point? So you just divide that by the amount that people watched it. And that's where you get your viewership number of people or number of people watching it. And that's okay enough way to do this. But just because this is what Nielsen is reporting or what other third-party places are reporting doesn't necessarily mean that's what the case is. It's possible that their metrics in which they measure things are wrong. But one thing to take into consideration, though, is if Nielsen has a consistent methodology in how they measure things, and you can see that Daredevil is underperforming compared to other things, then I think it is safe to say that Daredevil underperformed compared to those things. That includes all the ones that actually beat it out on the top 10 chart right now. And that means all the other Disney Plus shows that charted at some point, whereas Daredevil Born Again didn't chart. Now, I just kind of want to go back to my previous point about how some people may have been interested in watching this show at first, and then they decided not to watch it, because one of the things about this show is it started off pretty solid. I mean, it wasn't great, but there was some potential. It was kind of a slow burn, but as the season progressed, I wouldn't say it lost it, but it really wasn't building up to a whole lot. And I think that's what put off a lot of people from watching it. And like I was saying, some people might have been interested in watching it in the binge style after it finally released all their episodes, which means you would have seen that spike during the period covering their last episode. But if you look at the audience reaction to it, 80% for a Marvel show is not very good. I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad score, but I mean, if you compare it to the entire Netflix run of Daredevil, I mean, this is 89% for the entire series. That's first and third season all combined. If you look at it, let's compare it to the previous seasons of this. So let's say you got season 1 sitting at 93% for audiences, 89 for season 2, 86 for season 3. So all 3 seasons on their own were able to rate better amongst audiences than what Daredevil Born Again was. But even then, like I said, 80% isn't necessarily terrible, but I think what we're seeing right now is basically just complete audience apathy. No one really cares about this. Maybe it could have brought in more people if the show turned out to be fantastic. Then I think you would have seen that huge uptick in viewers during the period covering the final episode. But that wasn't the case. At best, what we're getting at is people just saying like it's okay, and at worst, people are saying it's terrible. So that's not really something that's going to instill a lot of confidence in people, even if it isn't asking them to pay money to go watch something in theaters. If it's just asking for their time to watch something like this, and people are just figuring like it's not worth my time anymore. And to me, that's true audience apathy, when people can't even be bothered to watch your show on streaming. Disney really mishandled Marvel to the point now where people aren't even going to give them the benefit of the doubt on anything, even something that curries some goodwill, something where they're saying in the lead up to the release of this that, oh no, we went back and changed a bunch of stuff. We brought in some of the people who've worked on the previous Marvel Netflix shows. So this should be better. And I was even one of those people who was saying like, okay, there's some potential. There's some stuff there I like. I'm nervous about Marvel handling it now, or the current Marvel handling it, seeing what they would do. And as I was watching it, at first it seemed okay. Like I said, it was a slow burn, but I was like, okay, I'm interested in where they're taking this. But when it kind of came to an end, I was just like, okay, that's it. I didn't really care. And I thought it didn't make, there was a lot of stuff that didn't make sense. And it really did feel like it was jumbled together and recut from previous stuff. And it turns out that was the case. And the final result was suffering as a result of them not really understanding what they were doing when they first started shooting the show. Now, this has already been renewed for a second season, even though this first one didn't succeed for them and probably lost them money. It already got renewed for a second season, and that was announced prior to the release of the first one. So we'll just see, do they fix the problems that they had with the first one, since maybe they'll actually know what they're doing when they're starting it? Or are we just going to see more of the same? I don't really have a whole lot of confidence in them, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see until it eventually comes out to find out if they're actually going to fix the problems with it, or if we're just going to get this again. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Are you surprised by the reaction to this and the failure that it was to even chart on Nielsen 1 week? Or is this what you've come to expect when it comes to Disney Marvel? Also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.